Hey guys, welcome to Storytime with Jester. Well, guys, it is the weekend before the championship games, conference championship games. And like I was saying in my last video, which was my first one doing a football video, um, how the committee just needs to get out of deciding who is in champ the national championship race to begin with. Um, I'm already disgusted with the 12 team format before it's even really started, just based on the committee's bias on who they're selecting to be in it. Um, like I stated in my last video, championships should always be decided on the field of play, and in every other sport at every other level, it is, except for college football. You can literally not even make it to your conference championship game and make it into the national championship, especially if your name is Ohio State or Alabama. It doesn't matter what those two teams do. Year in, year out, it seems like the committee is got their heads shoved way up their behinds, and will find a way for them to get into the playoffs, whether they were deserving of it or not. But in any case, what you see right now is my what would be my way of doing the playoffs, which was the only fair way to do it. And that is, if you're in your conference championship, you're in the playoffs. If you're not, you don't make it. And if you're not in a conference like Notre Dame and a few other teams, so sorry, either get in one or you're never going to be considered for a national championship. It's like pay, it's like pay, not pay to play, but it's like, you know, show up or sit down. So anyway, so after the um, after the championship teams have been decided, who's going to be playing each other, this is what it looks like. So again, my way of doing things would be only the conference championship teams would make the playoffs. The conference championship games themselves would be the first round of the playoffs. So as you can see here, just to give you real quick about what the numbers mean. The uncircled numbers off to the left here are what the teams are currently ranked. And the circled numbers that you see here are the seedings of the conferences in the tournament based on the highest rankings of the conference's teams' rankings. So in other words, the Big Ten has the highest seed because Oregon is the number one seed. The SEC has the second highest seeding, because Texas is the number 2 team, and so forth. ACC is the third highest ranked conference. Mountain West is 4th. Big 12 is 5th. I don't have the AAC in this tournament, where you could actually put them down here as a 6th conference championship game, and you would eliminate this right here. But I mean, honestly, unless some team in that conference has a just completely ridiculously miraculous year, they're never going to be able to compete in any of this here. So why even bother, having them in there? But if you would prefer to do it that way, then you would have a 6th conference down here, and it would be Tulane and Army playing in that conference championship game, and they would make the playoffs in that scenario. But in my scenario, there's only 5 conferences, and then this highest ranked loser we'll get to here in a second. So in the Mountain West, you have UNLV against Boise. In the Big 12, you have Iowa State and Arizona State. In the Big 10, you have Penn State and Oregon. In the SEC, you have UGA and Texas. And in the ACC, you have Clemson and SMU. Obviously, if you win your conference games, you're going to continue on in the playoffs. And if you lose your conference games, you're out of the playoffs, except in this scenario where we don't have that AAC conference championship game as a sixth game. You have the highest ranked loser out of these conference games continuing on. So in this case, your two highest ranked conferences is going to be the Big Ten and the SEC. So, and it just so happens this year that the four highest ranked teams in this setup this year happen to be all four in the Big Ten and the SEC. You have Oregon at 1, Texas at 2, Penn State at 3, and UGA at 5. UGA would normally be 4, but Notre Dame, who don't even have a conference, is ranked 4th. Notre Dame should not even be eligible for a national championship whatsoever because, again, get in a conference, play the big boys, or go home. Suck it up and be a man. Be a group of men, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Anyway, so in this scenario here, the highest ranked loser would come from one of these two conferences right here. So let's say Texas beats UGA and Penn State beats Oregon. Well, between Oregon and UGA, the two losers there, Oregon is the highest ranked loser, so Oregon would come down here and play the ACC champ. Or if you had Texas beating UGA and Oregon beating Penn State, then you would have UGA, and then you have UGA and Penn State being the two losers. Penn State would be the highest ranked loser, so Penn State would come down here and play the ACC champ. So basically, the only way that UGA would advance beyond their conference championship in this particular scenario, the way that the teams are ranked here, would be to win the SEC championship game. If they lose whatsoever, then either Penn State or Oregon are going to beat them out as the highest ranked loser, depending on who would lose that game. So that's how I would have the playoffs go. It's the only fair way to do it is to have your conference champions or your conference championship teams being the only teams to make it to the playoffs. Anybody else, it's like you didn't play good enough in the regular season to make your conference championship. Why the hell would you be considered for a team to go to play for the national championship? That's just absurd, obscene, and mind-boggling. And the only explanation is because you have a group of people in this committee who play favorites and want to see certain teams in the playoffs, regardless of how they do in the regular season, and which basically just not muddies the water, but devalues the whole season of all the teams that actually played well enough to make it to their conference championships. It's just it's if you go back and look at my previous video, I go through a history of the bias ever since the 4-team playoff thing started, and it's just utterly ridiculous. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I know this isn't my normal Dungeons and Dragons type deal, but it's just I'm a big college football fan, and as you can see, I'm a big fan of the University of Georgia, and I'm just fed up with the way that the committee just plays favorites, and the way that this 12-team playoff thing has just turned into just a circus. So anyway, hope you liked the video. Whether you did or not, leave me comments in the comments section. And until next time, and as always, see you soon.